In the New Forest live herds of wild ponies. One herd used to wander about and feed in a large sunny glade. In this herd lived father and mother ponies with their young ones. Here I was born and brought up by my mother. I used to feed from my mother when I was very little. At first, I kept as near to my mother as I could. The switching of her tail kept the flies away from my head. I gazed in wonder at the world around me. The other ponies seemed so big and strong, especially when they rolled about on the grass or galloped across the open spaces. As we young ones grew stronger, we kicked up our heels too and frisked about. Then I got quite used to eating grass like the grown-up ponies. I liked to rest on the cool green grass, but the flies teased me so that I couldn't get to sleep. Yet it was pleasant in the forest in that sunny time, and so I lived with the herd and was very happy. Now there lived in a village nearby some people who looked after that part of the forest where we lived. They sometimes came to catch us wild ponies and take us away from the forest. One day we were feeding in our favourite glade when these people came riding out of the trees on their horses and ponies with a dog. We didn't want to be caught and taken away, so we galloped off as fast as we could. But the riders were very clever. They seemed to know just which way we would run, and they got there first and turned us back. They drove us onto a track that ran down between trees and bushes. Then we came to a place where there was a strong fence made of tree trunks. We went through the opening in the fence. The gate was shut, and we knew that we were caught. Much later, when I was quite grown up, I went to live at a white house by the village green. Susan lived there. She was my mistress, and very kind she was, too. She came to see me every morning in the paddock. I found that it was good fun, after all, to live like this, for I liked Susan, and she gave me all her care and attention. Now that I was older, I was no longer afraid of people, or of dogs either. Smutty, the yard dog, was quite a friend of mine. He always hoped we would take him out with us when he saw Susan grooming me in the morning. He grew impatient to set off, but Susan wanted to make quite sure I was properly groomed. How he hated waiting. When Susan was sure that my coat was properly brushed, she put the saddle on my back. Susan's mother looked out of her bedroom window to see whether we were ready for our ride. Of course, Smutty turned up at the last moment and followed along behind me. I'm good at picking my way through trees and bushes. When we get to a smooth track, we go faster, and Smutty loves this. But sometimes he gets lost. Today, as we were cantering along, Smutty got further and further behind until suddenly he saw a hole at the bottom of a tree and rushed up to it, expecting to find a rabbit or something. By now, Susan and I were far ahead. We came to a steep bank, which is one of my favourite places. We got to the top quite quickly. Then I picked my way along a narrow path under the trees, taking care not to trip over any tree roots. Susan sat up very straight as we went along, for she rides beautifully, and I always know just what she wants me to do. We came out of the trees and made for home at a good speed. Susan let me go as fast as I liked for a little while. Then we walked the last piece home, so that I should not feel too hot and excited. It had been a lovely ride. But where was Smutty? He suddenly realized he'd been left behind, and he ran for home as fast as he could. By the time he arrived, I was having a rub down with straw, as my coat was rather hot and sweaty. We were far too busy to take any notice of him. Then he thought he would like some of the sugar that Susan gave me. But sugar is not good for dogs. When he found that he was not going to get any, he went instead to his bowl and had a good drink. Susan took off my halter when we got back to the paddock, so that I should be quite free to move about as I liked. Then I had a good roll on the grass. The farm cat and Smutty enjoyed themselves too. Smutty even rolled a little bit himself. It's lovely having my own paddock, where I can roll to my heart's content after the ride is over.